I mean, I think Larry Fink of BlackRock is by far the most compelling spokesperson for the Bitcoin movement, and he kind of epitomizes the intellectual journey, which is a successful financier first hears about it and hears about all the negative things, and good financiers, they go through the checklist of what are the 100 risk factors, right? Because if you're really good at finance, you can tick off all 100 risk factors. So you do the check, you think about it, and you think, well, kind of scary, I'm going to hold off on it for a bit, and you're skeptical. I was skeptical in 2013. He was skeptical. But at some point, if you're around it enough, if there's a need, if you have a need to know, maybe you get pushed and you realize I need to open my mind and I need to embrace a new idea, find a new idea for growth. Maybe it's defensive, maybe it's a growth initiative. And then sometimes when a critical mass of people that you respect begin to speak with you about it, then you open your mind and then you take the position that this is actually a new, profound, revolutionary thing. It's digital capital. I misunderstood it before. I was wrong. I see a place for it in the world. We have this saying, which is everybody's against Bitcoin before they're for it.
Some of the world's biggest names, like Larry Fink, Elon Musk, and even major world governments, are gravitating toward Bitcoin. Today, Michael Saylor discusses the seismic shift happening in cryptocurrency and why BlackRock is having such a major impact on global finance. Over the past few weeks, Bitcoin is reshaping the narrative, with the current price sitting just above $94,900. Saylor says that Larry Fink, despite being initially skeptical, became a believer when faced with the long-term value that Bitcoin actually holds. He says Bitcoin is not just an investment, but a paradigm shift in wealth and freedom. The MicroStrategy co-founder recently sat down on the PBD podcast and discusses why Bitcoin is more important to buy now than ever before. Just today, Saylor doubled down on this with a post on X saying, "Given the high demand, we upsized our MicroStrategy offering of 0% convertible bonds due to mature in 2029 from $1.75 billion to $2.6 billion. This will allow investors to convert these bonds into shares of MicroStrategy stock at a price that's 55% higher than the stock's current value." This Bitcoin strategy by Saylor is more than optimism, and he expects the much-anticipated six-figure price target will be reached very soon. Let's get right into the latest interview with Michael Saylor, where he pulls back the curtain on Bitcoin's recent surge. Drop your comments down below and subscribe if you enjoy the content we do here.
Everybody is against Bitcoin before they're for it. It's like 1 hour to denier. After 10 hours, you're a trader. It's like, well, it's an asset. I'll buy it cheap and sell it when it's too expensive. After, 100 hours, you start to move to be more of an investor. Like, maybe this is a good investment, like Apple or Facebook. And after 1,000 hours, you're a maximalist. You're like, actually, this is an ethical good. This is freedom and economic and property rights to 8 billion people. This is a chance for 400 million companies to capitalize on an asset which isn't toxic. Wouldn't it be great if you could just buy something and get richer forever without taking risk? Pretty profound idea. Every day for the past 4.5 years, I get up and I say, buy Bitcoin, and then you do not sell your Bitcoin. Right? Very simple mantras. And by the way, and I don't recommend anything else. There's 100,000 other investment ideas where it might be appropriate to sell them at some point. That's why I don't talk about them. I just talk about Bitcoin, and I say, if you're going to buy it, be prepared to hold it more than 4 years. The short period is 4 years. The mid period is 10 years. The right period is forever. Buy it so you can give it to your grandchildren so your family will be rich in 250 years. That's what I would say about Bitcoin. And, Patrick, when you look at generations, when you're in your 20s, you have a lot of time on your hands and you want respect and you want prosperity. You want to make it in life. Mm-hmm. I need to make money so I can buy a house, have a family, buy a car, do whatever I want. And so you take your time and you invest it in making money. That's why the millennials, the Gen Zs, they get crypto, they get Bitcoin, because they have 100 hours or 200 hours or 1,000 hours. Now, when you get in your 60s or 70s, 80s, How many people, past the age of 55 spend 100 hours studying a profoundly new investment idea to figure out?
Very rarely.
It's because you've already made it. You already got a family. If you're going to have kids and a family and a house and a whatever, you've already done it. And you did it by exercising your trade because you were good at something and you're confident, and that's your worldview, like Warren Buffett's worldview, etc. So I don't blame people. It's just when you're successful at the end of your life, you know what made you successful. You don't have a need to know. When you're at the beginning of your life, you're not successful. You've got no respect. You've got no future. You better find something new, right? That's why Led Zeppelin, they picked up electric guitars and they played rock and roll because Beethoven and Mozart had already done the other thing. Too late for that new thing, right? The new people get the new thing. And so occasionally you find a 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old who will embrace the new idea, but it's like, what is it? You have to be profoundly, intellectually curious. Larry Fink is. That's why BlackRock is going to make a fortune on this. Or you have to be desperate, frustrated, nothing to lose. I mean, the truth is I'd characterize myself that way in 2020. It's like the stock is like $6 a share enterprise value. The company's enterprise value is $6 a share. And my choice is sell the company and retire or take a risk and open my mind. And I remember I'm sitting at my poolside next to my friend Eric Weiss, and it's March and the lockdowns hit and interest rates go to zero, and and the stock market's crashing, and and all hell is breaking loose. And I say, so tell me about that Bitcoin thing again. It's like, so that's what you'll find, that when you look at people and they're one or the other, but it takes a while for a paradigm shift. You got to really need it or want it, and that's why it's an exponential process.
The ongoing adoption of Bitcoin by governments, institutions, and media signifies a broader recognition of its value. However, Saylor asserts this journey is just beginning, comparing the initial years to the current widespread interest and investment. He said, when we think about Bitcoin, we think about it primarily as an emerging global monetary alternative. It's a scarce, global, decentralized, non-sovereign asset, and it's an asset that's not country-specific and has no counterparty risk. With BlackRock's ETF, Bitcoin is up 104% this year.
I said, give me the the top influencers on the internet on Bitcoin. You gave me a list of people. Then I went and I watched all their YouTube podcasts. Then I went and I read all their books. I read the Bitcoin Standard. I read Andreas Antonopoulos' books on Bitcoin. I watched the debates, between Eric Voorhees and Peter Schiff on Bitcoin. Once I got through all that and I had done a deep think, then I started going in execution mode. How do I get an account? How do I buy this stuff? KYC me, set me up. And then after that, it's like massive education with my company too. Partly it was a personal track. What am I going to do? And partly is, what am I going to take my company? And that became I send a text message to all the officers of the company and all the directors. I said, I want you to watch these 3 videos on YouTube, and I want you to read this paper about Bitcoin. John Pfeffer had wrote a paper, An Institutional Investor's View of Bitcoin. I said, read this stuff, and then we're going to talk. And so after they read it, I had a one-on-one with each one of them, and it was like basically doing the rounds, every officer of the company, every director of the company, and gradually we formed a consensus. We formed teams. We started to power forward. And on August 10th of 2020, what we did is we said, hey, we're buying $250 million of Bitcoin, but we're also going to buy back $250 million of our stock in a tender offer. The stock was like $120. This is like $12 post-split, and we offered a premium. We said, well, you can tender your shares if you don't like the Bitcoin strategy. And so that took 20 days. So the way that we actually rotated the shareholder base and got the shareholders on board with the Bitcoin strategy was, we said, we're doing this. We know it's risky. We know some of you may not like it. We'll buy you out at a premium if you don't want to go along for the ride. After 20 days, only about $60 million got tendered. So we had $175 million of cash left. And so We went from 250 to 425 million in Bitcoin. Then the stock rallied, generated a lot more cash from stock option issuance. We bought another $50 million of Bitcoin. And pretty soon we're off to the races and the strategy's working. And all of our investors were on the board. They wanted to be invested in a company on a Bitcoin strategy more than they wanted to be invested in a company that was going to continue with a conventional low growth approach.
Saylor challenges the conventional macroeconomic metrics, asserting that these metrics are often manipulated to paint a specific narrative, like labor statistics and inflation figures, which are selectively measured to create desired effects rather than reflecting the true state of the economy. In this context, Bitcoin emerges as an alternative, detached from the manipulations of the conventional economic sphere. Saylor also highlights that established corporations like Apple, Amazon, and Google will use their established relationships acquired over decades to swiftly acquire substantial amounts of Bitcoin through a spot ETF, bypassing the cumbersome processes involved in procuring the actual commodity. This disparity underscores the transformative power of cryptocurrencies in traditional financial institutions. Michael Saylor underscores the importance of embracing digital currencies as the economic landscape is changing rapidly, and urges investors to leverage Bitcoin's potential to secure a more prosperous financial future. What do you think about the latest interview with Michael Saylor? And how do you think Bitcoin's trajectory in the coming months will impact the crypto market and the world of investing? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content just like this. We'll see you in the next video.